Food and cooking was incredibly important in Breath of the Wild, and it's no different here in Tears of the Kingdom, with the hearty durian farm being completely removed from the game and durians being non-existent. You're probably wondering, what should you actually be cooking in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, look no further, because I'm going to be showing you the best early game meals that you can use, where to farm up the food, and how to get critical cooks every single time without actually needing a blood moon. And yes, you did hear that right, hearty durians can no longer be gotten in the game through free roam. I think you can still get them through amiibos. I have heard reports that there is one spot where you can get one or two high up in the sky, but I've never actually gotten anybody to give me the location, and I haven't found any for myself. So I figured the first thing we should do is cover hearty foods and where to get them. Your best bet is going to be really two options, hearty truffles and big hearty truffles, which you're going to be able to find throughout caves in Hyrule. And then you've got hearty radishes and big hearty radishes, which are going to be found up in these sky islands. You might be able to find these in caves as well, but I haven't really found any that I can remember. One of the best way to be able to find caves in Tears of the Kingdom is to look out for these Sakura trees. This one is located in central Hyrule. There's actually a shrine right here that you can fast travel to. And if you go to any of these, this one has a nice Endura carrot around it actually, which you're gonna need for another piece of food. But what we can do is if we open up our menu, we can gift any fruit. So let's go up here. I'm just gonna grab a splash fruit, and we're going to put this into the little offering tray right here. A little cutscene is going to happen and Satori is going to spawn behind you. But the best part of this is Satori is going to actually light up all of the caves in the area. And you can go inside of these caves, you can find booble frogs, you can find big truffles, regular truffles, and it's just a great way to be able to find caves. Now you can find these throughout all of Hyrule. Now the way that you cook and utilize these hearty foods is going to be very important. Hearty foods are a much rarer commodity in Tears of the Kingdom, so I highly recommend only cooking one at a time, and we'll get into exactly why. If you cook one of the regular hearty truffles, you're going to make what's called a hearty mushroom skewer. So you get full heart recovery plus one temporary heart. A single big hearty truffle, on the other hand, is going to get you a hearty mushroom skewer that provides you with a full recovery plus 4 temporary hearts. Now the reason we want to use these one at a time is because that full recovery is really useful, and getting a ton of bonus hearts in here when you have things like the Gloom that could completely destroy all of your bonus hearts in 1 second doesn't make them as effective as they used to be in Breath of the Wild. Also, the only things that can actually one-shot you in the game without you going down to at least a little bit of a heart left are Lionels and other big bosses in the game, so having a ton of temporary hearts are only really useful in those situations. Now hearty radishes and big hearty radishes are going to be better than the truffles. A single hearty radish is going to provide you with full recovery and plus 3 temporary hearts, and a single big hearty radish is going to provide you with something even better, full recovery and plus 5 temporary hearts. You can also add a golden apple to any of these recipes to get a critical cook 100% of the time. Now unfortunately with these hearty foods, that only adds a single temporary heart, but if you're looking for an extra bonus, that's going to be a good way to get it. We'll get into how to farm these golden apples up in just a minute, because being able to get a critical cook at any point in time without actually needing a blood moon is pretty great. Now for other general purpose health recovery, just any type of meat is going to be good, but that'll give you 4 hearts of recovery. And if you want to go one extra further, you can hold 3. But for the most part, you won't need more than that until much later in the game, because that's going to give you 6 hearts of recovery. Another thing you can keep in mind too is once you find a recipe that you do like, you can select the item, then you can select it for recipe, and then you can just hold all the ingredients in your hand and toss it into the pot. Now that we've covered hearty foods, let's go over stamina, because it was important in Breath of the Wild, and it's even more so in Tears of the Kingdom. Endura carrots are going to be your prime source for stamina recovery, as well as Staminoka Bass and things like that. And I already showed you a location for the Endura carrot, and I'll show you another one in a second. Now, similar to the hearty foods, you're going to want to hold one in your hands for this too, and the reason why is very important. Now, we do get 4 hearts of recovery from this, and we also get a third of a bonus stamina wheel. But what you might not know right off the bat is that not only do you get that bonus stamina wheel, but it completely refills your stamina. And this is why cooking one at a time is incredibly important. You can see we're draining our stamina right now, and if we go into our inventory, just as our stamina was completely depleted, we're going to eat this bad boy, and we're going to have completely rejuvenated 2 full stamina wheels and that bonus stamina on top of it. You can get way more stamina than just trying to get that bonus yellow. For instance, if we decide to do the wrong thing and cook 2 Endura carrots at the same time, we're not even going to get a full extra wheel We're not even going to get a full bonus wheel, which means I'm currently losing out on 2 full bars of stamina just by cooking them together like that, because I would have been able to get that full stamina recovery twice instead of just once. So there's absolutely no reason you should ever cook more than 1 Endura carrot at a time, and you should definitely not be wasting golden apples on these. Now, to be able to get a couple of these Endura carrots at the same time, you're going to want to head south from Central Hyrule towards the Highland Stables. From here, head over to the old Horse God location, and if you go onto this little plateau right here, there's going to be 3 Endura carrots that you can grab. Now, before we continue with the rest of the recipes, we're going to go over how to get these golden apples, so that way you can get guaranteed critical cooks without having to wait for a blood moon. You're going to want to head southwest from Lookout Landing towards Satori Mountain. There's going to be a shrine right here at the top of this cliff that you can get, and once you're here, you're going to see a ton of apple trees, and inside of these apple trees, you're going to be able to find golden apples. And you can look around, there's just so many golden apples in here, and you can get hundreds of apples very quickly. One of the tricks actually would be to be just riding around on a big horse through here. Now, some of the trees will pop alive, so just keep that in mind. Now, the other great thing about this is the respawn rate is also really high. You're going to be able to farm up way more golden apples than you will be able to do with blood moons, and these regenerate significantly faster. So definitely just make sure to periodically come back to Satori Mountain, farm up all the apples and green apples that your heart could desire. Now that we've got some golden apples, let's go over some really useful recipes for the beginning of the game. We're going to start with an obvious one, mighty bananas. Go ahead and throw 4 of those, and if you want, you can use a golden banana. Did I just say golden banana? I meant a golden apple, obviously. But we have a chance of 2 different things happening with this critical cook. One, we could get more hearts. Like this critical cook here gave us an additional 5 minutes on our tier 3 attack up. A great spot to farm mighty bananas is actually just above the lakeside stable at the shrine. And on this ledge, you're going to find mighty bananas literally all over this place. Next, we're going to go over bright mushroom skewers. This is going to allow Link to actually glow in the dark, so when you're exploring the depths, this is going to be very handy. If you use 5 of these, you can get 10 minutes on your timer, which means you get about 2 minutes per mushroom. Now, if we use 4 instead and a golden apple, we can get more hearts and additional time on that glow effect. The downside of this is you're only getting 1 level of glow, which means the glow radius is going to be a little bit smaller. Next, let's go over Sundelions. You can find these pretty much everywhere on the Sky Islands. They're not really rare at all, and the great thing about these is that they're going to allow you to be able to recover those broken hearts that you're going to get from being in Gloom or being hit by Gloom monsters. Early game, you're probably only going to need to cook 1 or 2 together, because 1 alone is going to give you 3, 2 is going to give you 6, and you're going to get 3 additional ones for every additional Sundelion you use on your dish. Now, the big brain way to use Sundelion is to actually combine it with meat. So if we apply 2 of these Sundelion and say 3 of the meat, throw that into a pot, we're going to be able to recover 6 hearts as well as 6 broken hearts. So it's going to fix the broken hearts and recover them at the same time. Now, we do have something potentially better than just being able to heal the broken hearts. Throughout the game, you're going to find these dark clumps. You can actually use these to cook, but they cannot be cooked alone. You're going to want to add them to meat as well. So if we add a meat and a dark clump, we're going to be able to get something called the warding meat skewers. Now, typically you'll only get level 1 gloom resistance on these, and it does stack with the depths armor. So while you're acquiring all of the depths armor, you can stack up to level 3 by using food. Now, since these dark clumps are rare at the beginning of the game, I do recommend using golden apples to be able to try and get the level 2 gloom resistance. So that way you only need 1 piece of armor to get level 3. Now, there's a lot more we could go over in cooking, but we're going to do that in a more in-depth cooking tutorial. But if you want more content, check out this video on the top left for acquiring all the gear that we're using right now to get a super OP start at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, or check out the one on the right for acquiring the Master Sword.